We don't talk about subscriber counts. We don't talk about subscriber counts. Yep, that's my shameless plug at the beginning of the video. Set to We Don't Talk About Bruno. Oh, I'm killing it. I'm killing the game. I'm John Stark from backthemovieguy.com. And this is a second look at Encanto. Yes, I've already seen Encanto once, and I've seen Encanto a second time, because I know far too many people who keep telling me that I'm wrong about Encanto. I just felt the need to watch it again to see, am I wrong? Is this movie actually good? Is it better than I thought it was when I first watched it? Let's talk about it. I'm a blind film critic, so actually, I don't know how good the animation is on this, but I'm sure it's fine. It's Disney. When was the last time they actually released something that just looked terrible? You know, just like atrocious, like Dougal level of animation. For anybody who saw Dougal, I'm sure that was a winner. They were like, oh, he's seen Dougal. It's like, yeah, I remember Dougal from back in the day. Yeah, so it's obviously a huge hit. This movie doesn't need me to give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. It's made a ton of money, and everybody's just like, oh my god, Encanto, and we don't talk about Bruno, but we're going to talk about him because we're going to send this song to the top of the charts. Chart-topping song. It's like the biggest song in Disney history. But yeah, there's Lin-Manuel Miranda can never do any wrong. He touches things and it just immediately turns to gold. And that kind of happens with Encanto. The thing is that Lin-Manuel's music in Encanto is one of the more interesting things about Encanto. If this didn't have music, then you have a story about culture. And that the culture part of it is fine, but where the story lacks for me is it seems to be in a race against time to get to the finish. Like, we have to move through the story as quickly as humanly possible, because God forbid in a TikTok age that we lose our the attention of our audience for even a second. So it never allows itself to ever sit in a moment and give an emotional impact. Even if you look at towards the end, when Mirabelle is sitting by the river, she's only been gone in the length of the film. She's been like, what, 10 seconds? She literally like walked away, and they're like looking for her for like 10 seconds, and then we cut to an image of her down by the river crying, you know, and her grandmother just appears out of nowhere. She just like apparates, like people wandering around. Her grandmother just knows where she is. She just like walks up behind her, and it's like, well, that solves that problem. So we don't get to see her, you know, have, you know, any sort of moment where she's just kind of sitting with her thoughts. You know, she doesn't get to talk out loud or have an inner monologue. She's just, nope, Abuela's there. It's just, bam, found you. You're terrible at hide and seek. Yeah, I mean, she literally like runs away from people when they start like opening up about their stories. You know, her other sisters, when they start having problems, like they never. I know that that's kind of like the theme of the films, that nobody ever wants to talk about anything, but it does it to such an extreme level that you end up lacking an emotional depth to the film, and everything is just kind of surface. So I stand by that. And I had a bunch of my films, a bunch of my friends tell me that it was because I was white that I didn't understand this. And I was like, I think that just, it has nothing to do with race. Like, there's nothing about this film that I don't like because of culture. I'm not like, ooh, I don't understand it, or, oh, it's, so, you know, it's everything about the pacing of the film and the way you tell the story and the way you structure the story. You can either set it up so that it actually is emotionally resonant on its own, not simply because you're just so happy to see yourself represented on screen, but because the story in which you are represented is actually worth being represented in, or, you can just be happy that, yay, it's a story about people who look like me, but you could have a better story. The thing is, Disney has made better movies. They've taken more time with movies before. Um, you know, it's usually Pixar that really hits the emotional home run, I guess you could say. Disney seems to just always, they don't trust it. And they're so afraid of losing their audience that they end up backing away at the last second and they go, nah, nope. I had the same problem with Frozen. I thought if Anna just stayed frozen just a few seconds longer, like, you would have had the audience, because it was like an oh shit moment. Like, damn, is Anna dead? Like, is she just like, are we gonna finish with her as an ice statue? You know? There was a YouTuber that wrote, "Do you want to build a snowman reprise?" And I was like, man, if they had put that in there, that would have, like, I mean, the audience would have just died, just crying, just sobbing during that moment. If Elsa had turned around and sang back, I can't remember what the lyrics were, like, yes, I want to build a snowman. I'm sorry it took so long. Yeah, and when I heard the version that the YouTuber wrote, I was just like, that's exactly what that scene needed. And Encanto needs a scene like that. Encanto is missing just that gut punch, which it wants. You can tell it wants it. It desperately wants the gut punch. It just doesn't have it. Part of it is pacing. It actually, a lot of times critics bitch about pacing because it's always too long. This one, I think, is just too fast. And it's not because the movie's short either, because it's not. It's not a short movie. It always seems like a lot's going on and we're running through the film. There's a huge family that we don't necessarily connect to every single character because of that. We're kind of bouncing around and we end up just kind of connecting to Mirabelle. So if you can't change that, because I'm not saying drop the family down, I'm not saying the problem is, the family's too big. You can still be emotionally resonant with Mirabelle, or she can have emotionally resonant members of the family, moments. She almost has one with her sister, who's talking about how she feels always having to carry everything on her back, the weight of the world on her shoulders, type of thing, through that whole solo. That she could have had a real moment, but instead she's like, as soon as she gets the information she thinks she needs, like the piece of the puzzle, she's gone. She doesn't like sit and just ask her sister, like, are you okay? Like, how are you? And it's that moment that could have really resonated. And apparently it resonates with the character, because later on, she comes back and she's like, my strength is gone. And she's all upset. And it's like, it would have been nice to see that moment where maybe Mirabelle recognizes and says something and says, hey, it doesn't have to be all on your shoulders. And we could have had that, but it's just, we just got to get through the film. We just got to run forward. She runs away from Bruno. She runs away from her other sister. She's always just trying to get to the next thing. And I still think that's what Encanto lacks for me. I don't think it's a bad film, just to be clear. When I've given it crap, I just saw people just like flipping out over it. And when I finally saw it, I was like, it's okay, but damn, this film is missing that thing, So anyway, that's my thought. I still have the same thought. I watched it again, and it's not emotionally resonant. It's just fun. It's colorful. It's full of life. It's got memorable music. It's got a lot of good things checked off the board here. But what it doesn't have is it doesn't have that moment when uh Wally's broken and Eve fixes Wally, and Wally comes back and Wally doesn't seem to remember Eve. It doesn't have the moment where Carl puts the grape soda pin on the kid and Up. It doesn't have uh any number of moments that Disney has managed to have over. It doesn't have When She Loved Me. It just doesn't have those moments in the film. And it could have had it. Brave, when Merida thinks her mom is gonna stay a bear forever and her mom doesn't recognize her. There's some moments in there too. So Pixar's generally got it. Bing Bong, the death of Bing Bong in Inside Out. Yeah, it's they've done it before. So that's it for me. I don't know if I officially reviewed Encanto when it first came out. It was like January-ish when the 45-day window dropped, and that was also about the same time I started doing my website again. I don't feel like this has moved a whole lot for me. But I think it maybe has moved a little bit because now I'm used to the songs a little bit more. And so I like them a little bit more than I did before. So it's possible that it's moved up just a little bit. But I'm going to give Encanto a B. It's just not a top tier Disney animation film. I'm sorry. It has nothing to do with me being the white guy. It's just this film just doesn't have that connection between the characters. On the plus side, its pacing never slows. So you can't possibly be bored by this film. It just never, it's always going. So I suppose that's a good thing. As far as the audio description, I didn't really notice it the first time, but there's a lot of audio description during song lyrics. And I feel kind of conflicted about that because on one hand, I know that like the characters are dancing around and we have to know that they're dancing around, but at the same time, I also kind of want to know what the song lyrics are. So that's a tough call. It's not just like during the music, like the instrumental parts of songs. It's actually while some characters are singing, there's audio description. So, I don't know. Gun to my head, I would say song lyrics over audio description. When you show up to a musical, generally you show up for the music. So I'm less interested in the spectacle that's going on behind them and more in the music and the songs. But that's me, and I'm into musicals, and not everybody is. So if somebody was coming at it from I'm watching this just because it's a Disney film and I hate music, then maybe they like the audio description and they're like, screw the songs. So that's a tough one, but I would say not during lyrics. Anyway, that's just me. Let me know what you think in the comments. Throw me a like and a subscribe if you are so ever so kind. And we'll talk about Bruno later on. And my website is macmovieguy.com. The audio description project, adp.acb.org, will let you know what has audio description and where you can watch it. And the adna.org will let you know who describes what and what else they've described. Those are the purposes of those sites. So check them out. Now I got to go review more things. That's it. See you all on the other side.